OK, Phil, well, it is the afternoon after the evening before. We're talking about the Ramsey debate, which took place at the Mitre. 8 candidates. I'm going to see if I can remember them off the top of my head. So we've got Dr. Alex Allinson, Robert Cowell, Laurie Hooper, Jonathan Kinraid, Simon Mann, Luke Parker, Leonard Singer and Erica Spencer. We should say Laurie Hooper standing for Lib Van. You listened to it actually after the debate happened because you were otherwise engaged. So good listening?
Yeah, it was, again, another interesting debate. Obviously, with 8 candidates, it's always more difficult to assess individual performances because you only get to hear shorter extracts from them all. Again, I've been taking notes as I was going through, and those who speak the longest, you obviously have them more written down. And actually, there wasn't an awful lot of difference in terms of the amounts that were said.
It seemed pretty solid from everyone. I think it's hard to pick between them.
Yes, again, I'll always say this, won't I? The sitting candidates have the best opportunity. But in this case, you've got not necessarily a sitting candidate, but someone who had been representing Ramsey for 12 years. One of the things, if you're doing your MHK job right, that you get is a kind of a bonus from having helped lots of people during the course of your term in office. So not only has Laurie and Alex got that, but also Leonard Singer has got that too. So it'd be interesting whether that has any impact. I know Leonard, I'd spoken to him some weeks before all this. He declared, and he wasn't absolutely sure he was going to go for this, but whether he certainly sounded as though he was really putting his heart and soul into it. I think Leonard sort of has a kind of a game plan for winning elections, and part of that is find an issue, make the issue sound an awful lot worse than it actually is, and then be the saviour, the only person who can come in to sort the problem out. Unfortunately, on this occasion, he seems to have picked the marina, but everyone seemed to be pretty much in agreement. There was no real dispute. Alex Allinson was the only one who actually had a sort of a kind of a hint of let's assess this fairly and reasonably. So Alex Allinson said he was in favour of further investigation, but primarily I think they were all in favour of possibly some inner harbour development, but the location of the current planned marina was definitely a no-no. What Robert Cowell actually pointed out, though, of course, was marinas is a multi-million pound business in the UK, and it really is potentially there's quite a boost there for Ramsey. Of course, all the candidates at various times during the discussion talked about getting more business into Ramsey, but then on the other hand, they were all totally against the marina. So, interesting. You can't be for and against everything. And actually, that was one of the points Laurie Hooper made later on. I think in his closing remarks, he talked about. We'd heard the 5-word sentence, which is, we need more of this, we need more of that. But he said, how are you going to give more of that, and where are you going to get the money from? I think, one of the risks of these sorts of debates is everyone is against all the bad things and for all the good things, but no one's really given you much idea how they're going to deliver that.
But it's also important, if you're a candidate, I suppose, to know the views of your public, and you don't want to go up there and put your neck on the line and be totally against what the vast majority of people think.
Yes, I think that's true. Although, again, there were some fairly similar comments in relation to overseas aid, and I suspect, certainly if the electorate in Ramsey is anything like the electorate in Albury, Castletown and Maloo was 5 years ago when I was there, I suspect that overseas aid is not universally popular. I know there was quite a lot of negative press, particularly in papers like the Daily Mail at the time I was standing, but certainly all the candidates were pretty positive in relation to international development or overseas aid spending. Leonard Singer made some interesting points that it shouldn't be spent on non-governmental organisations like Oxfam and Save the Children organisations like that, he seemed to think that wasn't the best use of the funds. And Simon Mann made a point about giving it to emergency relief rather than any other forms. But on the whole, they were all very similar. But one of the better questions, or really... the thought-provoking questions was the one about women in politics. And I thought that was a really good question. Everyone said, yes, of course, it's really important. Bound
to say that, though, but what can you actually do about that? I suppose we should have gone back to the person who asked the question, asked her why she didn't stand.
Well, yes, of course, that's an interesting point. Some would say women have got more sense than to want to, but who knows? But whatever, I've got a very strong feeling that we're going to break the record from last year. Last election. Obviously, we had a very large increase in the amount of women in Keys last time, and I think we're going to break that record again this time.
But still only 16 out of 65 candidates are women.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and there are very deep and fundamental reasons that need to be properly considered as to why that is. And I think, again, in terms of the answers that we heard in this debate, we didn't really get into that. But then, the very nature of this sort of discussion, you can't go into the depth perhaps as much as you would like.
Right then, 8 candidates for the people of Ramsey to choose from. Do you think you know who it's going to be?
I thought... Well, no was the honest answer. I do think that the sitting candidates will take some shifting, but I was particularly impressed with Erica Spencer, Robert Cowell and Jonathan Kinraid, but also Simon Mann gave a very feisty performance. He was very, very critical of the incumbent or the former MHKs and indeed the town commissioners who were on the panel. And also, of course, Leonard, inevitably Leonard Singer is going to give a good performance. And he did, as indeed did Erica Spencer. Again, I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to expect from Erica, but I thought that was very good. Very well-rounded answers and seemed to come over very well.